Jeff Baker, and welcome to day 2 of our 3-day kind of webinar series focused on how to not only attract the right clients, but actually how to communicate effectively to those clients. And then tomorrow we'll kind of take a look at some of the other aspect of it, which is where are your clients going to discover more about who you are. So whether that's your website, your social media strategy, potentially ads, and in those types of environments, there's a place where they're going to see who you are. And when they do, that's where we talk about conversion goals and those things. That will be tomorrow. But for today, we're going to just focus on really starting to communicate effectively with the clients that we've identified from yesterday. So here's where we're going to go today. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to actually kind of, which is what we're doing right now. We're just kind of doing a little recap of some of the stuff we talked about yesterday. We're going to take, if there's anybody that did any of their avatars from yesterday, we'd love to hear your examples of that. And then we're going to talk specifically about some content planning and strategy. We'll talk about some concepts around how do we get the right message in front of the right customer, and how do we craft those messages? What are the tools and tips and tricks that we can use to communicate effectively? We'll look at some additional examples, open up some time for some question and answer. And like we talked about yesterday, we will have another free gift at the end of this session, which will be another worksheet or workbook for content planning purposes. So we'll have that available to you at the end of this time. But from yesterday, one of the big things that we focused on was making sure that whoever we are, whatever business we have, that we're clear on why we do what we do in order to effectively reach the customers that we want to reach. Now, there's lots of customers, there's lots of clients that are out there, but they're not for everybody and they're not for every business. And the more we focus on basically attracting that right client, the better our businesses will be, and the better we will be able to be more profitable. We'll actually, our business will have a lot less stress. There won't be a lot of kind of unpleasant clients to deal with as much if we focus on the ideal clients. So that was what yesterday was about. We really wanted to understand who are our ideal clients. We actually put together some resources so that you could actually do what we call a customer avatar or buyer persona. We had a worksheet that we did for that. So that was kind of a little bit about what we did yesterday. And so that's kind of where we're at. So my quote from yesterday, and it's kind of still true today, is if we truly understand who our ideal client is, then we can focus on connecting with them in a meaningful and authentic way. Yesterday we talked about kind of understanding that our clients may not actually think the same way we do about our businesses. So that's where we had that customer avatar worksheet. We actually had a chance for us to take a look at things like, what are their buying habits? What's going through their mind right now? What are some of the things that they are facing in their life that your product or service might be able to help them with in their life? So let's take a look. Right now, Haley, it looks like you're the only one who's currently on this webinar this afternoon. We may have some others that chime in. Did you get a chance by any chance to work on any customer avatars from yesterday?
I did not. I had to jump off towards the end of the call to jump on another call that was time sensitive yesterday. So unfortunately, no, but I plan on doing that tomorrow morning before the 3rd session tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, we may do another recap tomorrow and see if there's people that have been able to do a little bit of the avatar work, because it is fascinating, especially when you start giving them fun and creative names and you kind of define maybe age ranges and maybe characteristics. It really does help kind of understand who they are. And it almost gives us a sense that we're in their shoes and kind of starting to look at our business from their perspective versus our internal perspective. So that's good to know. That's hopefully tomorrow we can take a look at that and see what you came up with. That'd be awesome. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to spend the rest of our time, and we've got a lot of things that we're going to cover. So we're going to jump back into really looking at what is content planning and strategy, and how does it really impact not only your business, but how you communicate with your customers. So one of the things about marketing that I love, marketing, and I shared this yesterday, business is about providing service and value, and marketing is about connecting with your customers in a way that's meaningful. So when we talk about content planning, this is where we kind of get down to the difficult work. And it's not really difficult, maybe that's not the right word, but it's an intentional work on understanding what is going on for your customers, your potential customers, even your existing customers, and what can you offer them now and what can you offer them in the future that's going to continue to keep them connected to you and your business. So we're going to look at a couple things that relate to how content is planned. We're going to look at some tools that we use internally here. We'll look at some recommendations as far as how do we plan that out, what are some of the things that we need to pay attention to. So we're going to take a look at a lot of that at the moment. So I'm going to switch screens, and we're going to what we're going to do is we're going to take and switch over to our web browser. At the moment, we have a whole bunch of tabs open that will help us understand exactly what we're talking about here. So one of the clients we have is here locally. He's a chiropractic client, and so he does a lot of different types of thing. And again, things that we mentioned yesterday is that we happen to seem to work with clients that approach their industry with a little bit of a different focus. And so our chiropractic client here in Greenville, South Carolina, he does a lot of things differently, but because he treats the whole person. His practice is not just a quick little, hey, let me give you a quick adjustment and hopefully that will fix your problem. He brings in nutrition. He brings in basically what he calls a treatment plan. And all of that's based on sitting down with the client firsthand and understanding what is their current pain point. And in his case, it's literally, it's a physical pain point. We talk about pain points in business as being kind of uncomfortable things that are going on that we can solve. In the chiropractic world, he actually is literally addressing a physical pain point. So one of the things that a lot of chiropractors deal with is lower back pain. And one of the things that we will show you on the screen is when I type in lower back pain, there's a lot of things that pop up instantly. And I'll show you some of these things that are happening over here. These things are not in most average browsers. So we'll talk about why we have this here on our screen. But you'll start to see a couple things immediately. In this case, if it's a treatment, you'll actually sometimes come up with shopping results. So if you offer a product that's for sale, then this is a good way to understand how are people putting out their product in a way that is being pulled into search results, and what are the things that they are highlighting that relates to, in this case, lower back pain. So we've got everything from, lower sciatica, lower back pain relief. You have even these little rollers that you can roll on. You've got these little stretchers. So all these little things are meant to be some quick ways to potentially help with your lower back pain. Now, the challenge is, as a chiropractor, this really is not helpful for him because this is not what he provides. Now, he does actually have some things within his practice that he allows people to use, but this is not his target. So if somebody's here just looking for a DIY, do it yourself, fix my back somehow, he doesn't want that type of client anyway. That's not his ideal client. His ideal client is somebody that might be within, I don't know, maybe their mid-20s to mid-40s or 50s, who maybe they've come out of a situation where they had a car accident, or maybe they had some sort of injury and they're really trying to get their health back, and they care about nutrition. Maybe they have a certain income level. They also have a couple of things that are going on. Maybe they're a homeowner. So those are all things that he's identified as key characteristics of the customers that are ideal for his practice. So when we type in lower back pain, this whole kind of upper panel is really going to be irrelevant to him. But if you are offering a product that you want to sell, this is a great way to see what your competitors might be doing, or to get an idea of how is this showing up related to our keyword that we typed into Google, right? As we scroll down, you'll see some other things. You're going to see a lot of things, especially in the medical and dental health fields. You're going to see a lot of things either linking back to WebMD, or possibly down here, this is actually, I think, Mayo Clinic. So this panel down here under low back pain, they produce a lot of really good content that shows up in the right-hand side. Now, one of the things that you're going to see as we start to scroll down, you're going to see some really interesting titles of blog posts that may be worth paying attention to, because this is how they are already communicating to potentially the same customer that you want to communicate to. So here, WebMD is 5 things that can ease your lower back pain, right? That's a great little blog post. If I'm experiencing lower back pain, I might click on that just to see if there's 5 things that can help me right now. Like maybe I'm still going to look for treatment, but maybe there's something in this blog post that's there for me that may help me tonight sleep better and not have the low back pain that I would be experiencing, all right? One of the things that Kaylin, who's also on this call with us, has put together, and this will be part of the resources at the end of this, is when you look at Google search results, one of the things to pay attention is this thing down here where it says people also ask. A lot of us just fly right over this, but this is a great way to understand how your existing clients or how other people are looking at the content that you provide. So right here it says, maybe another way that people are asking that same question is, what is the best way to treat lower back pain? If people are asking that question, that gives me a clue as a content writer to go, you know what, if I create 2 or 3 blog posts about how to treat lower back pain, both clinically in my office as a chiropractor, or potentially some things that would be valuable to the user, then I might be able to create content that starts to help my potential customer connect with me and make a connection. So people also ask is an amazing tool to understand what are other people searching. Again, one of the things I mentioned yesterday was that we cannot trust our own thinking as business owners. Even though we're experts in our business, we can't trust our perspective to be the same perspective of what our customers are looking for. So we want to pay attention to what other searches are happening related to my product or service. And this thing right here where it says people also ask, and it's an amazing tool that's already right there in your search results. And then as we scroll down, you'll see some other things. You may even see some images. This may be a great way to start putting content that is in graphic form that your customers can digest. So sometimes creating what we call infographics or graphics that show, hey, if you use this product, you can move easier, you have better mobility, all that stuff, especially as it relates to lower back pain. That's another thing that shows up in the previews. And again, all I typed in was lower back pain treatment in Google, and this is what's coming up. And so again, as I start to see this, I can begin to see content that will spark ideas that will allow me to potentially connect with my other clients that may attract them to my business if I'm a chiropractor in this case, right? Continue to scroll down. I'll get to the right-hand side in a second about these things where it says people also search for. I'll show you why that's showing up on my browser and probably not yours at the moment. But when you get down to the bottom of your search results, and this is typically on your desktop computer, on a mobile device, the search function works a little bit differently. It actually long scrolls. So when you get to the bottom of the results, it brings in the next series of results. So typically you're not going to see this related searches on mobile as much as you would on desktop. So one of our recommendations personally, when you're talking about content, keyword research and topic research about your product or service, use a desktop or laptop computer and make sure you're in a Google browser is going to work probably the best, especially when we start talking about extensions coming up here in a minute. So related searches. Now here's some interesting things to consider. So, strong painkillers for back pain. What is the best treatment for lower back pain? That's a question that somebody's asking, so that you can maybe write a blog post, and maybe the blog post becomes a multi-post series that says what is the best treatment for back pain. And then you have two buckets. One is about things that you can do yourself and potentially stretches and exercises and things that can help your body manage the pain. And maybe there's even things like supplements and aspirins and those types of things. But maybe the second blog post is more focused on treatment that you provide as a chiropractor that would allow you to treat that lower back pain and get permanent relief or long-term relief because of the treatment plan that you offer. So being an expert and being willing to advise and offer even things that may not relate within what you're trying to sell them. What what your customers will appreciate is that you're taking the time to give them some helpful information to deal with their lower back pain. Now, here's a couple other things that are interesting. I like this one here. It says how to get rid of back pain instantly in parentheses. That may be an amazing blog post. So again, when you're thinking about content, think about these are what people are searching. When it says related searches, this is actually somebody typing that into the browser so that you get a sense of what is happening from a consumer, not from me as a chiropractor, right? That's the important part. We want to begin to see what are people typing in that gets us there. Now, I'm going to scroll back up. So we use a plugin called Keywords Anywhere, and you'll see a lot of stuff up here. Now there's a free version of it, and there's also a paid version of it. And what this is this is an extension that you add to your Google Chrome browser, and when you use it, you can, every time you type in any type of keyword search up here, it's going to give you a whole bunch of data down the right-hand side. So one of the things is it talks about SEO difficulty, brand query, off-page difficulty, and on-page difficulty. This is, I would not pay a lot of attention to this. This is kind of a little bit more high-level SEO strategy. This is going to be something that as you grow with your content, you may want to come back and look at it. And there's a whole tutorial that Keywords Everywhere, what they provide. So we're not going to cover that. They cover that very well in their documentation. But this plugin starts to give me some really cool snapshots. So from November 14th to December 12th, I can actually see trends of how often people are searching for lower back pain treatment. And all of a sudden, I get some analytics that give me an idea of like, okay, you know what? Over the last couple of months, we've had some really significant spikes in people searching for lower back pain relief, right? Or how to treat it. Good information. This actually gives me 30 days. I can actually do 12 months and it will redo that. I can actually do 5 days or 5 years. So you can see that over time, there's certain spikes and certain things that happen during certain times when this starts to be a very, very popular keyword. Now, it doesn't give me clear breakdown here, but there are some things where if I have the paid version, I can drill down even more, and I might be able to find out why is it that sometimes this is spiking throughout different times of the year. So if I did in the last 3 months, you'll see the same thing. You'll see certain times where there's like almost nothing, and then you've got these huge spikes on lower back pain treatment. Interesting to look at, because if I'm writing my content and maybe I'm running Google ads, I might want to pay attention on whatever these patterns seem to be. So maybe there's something going on, maybe there's sporting events, or maybe there's things that people are doing, activities that they're doing that are causing lower back pain, and maybe they're in cycles or in certain times of days and weeks and months of what's going on. That can give me a really, really good understanding of where all of my customers are currently at. Remember, the goal is to get into their head and enter what's going on in their world. This is a huge way to do that. So as we scroll down, there's some additional things. This, by the way, when we get into our digital roadmap, our digital marketing roadmap, we do cover this. This is what's called a Google search card. You'll see, especially in the dental medical world, you'll see a lot of Mayo Clinic out here. This gives you an opportunity as a practitioner to potentially unseat them if you become an expert that provides even better information and resources. That's an advanced strategy we talk about in the roadmap. We'll cover that at some point in the future. But as I scroll down, remember the related keywords everywhere. It also starts to give me some additional things. So I again typed in lower back pain treatment, and now I'm seeing other related keywords: how to heal lower back pain fast, female lower back pain treatment, and you can scan through these and it shows me a whole bunch of this. Now, what I love about this plugin is you can actually export these phrases out to a spreadsheet, or I can copy it and it will give me all of this as related keywords. And now I can put this in another tool. We're going to look at that in a second, but I could take keywords from here and quickly put them into a spreadsheet or in a planning document that allows me to go, okay, here are the keywords I want to pay attention to, or keywords and phrases. Now, what happens is these are related to my exact search, but then it's also saying people are also searching for. That's kind of similar to what you see down here, related searches at Google, but this is actually right from Keywords Anywhere, and they're an SEO group that does some really interesting things from a resource standpoint. But again, I can see lower back pain exercises, how to heal lower back pain fast. So some of these are going to be very similar to maybe what you see up here. But then long tail keywords, and what long tail keywords typically mean is these are things that have a longer, I guess the best way to describe it is a longer way to connect with that keyword or phrase. So it stays around longer. So things like lower pain treatment options, lower pain treatment near me. That's a great search phrase that a lot of people don't realize. The near me is used quite a bit by consumers because they're wanting to find somebody near them. And a lot of times it's going to be right on their mobile device. So it's going to be geo-aware, like geolocated based on their GPS on their phone. So if I was within 5 miles of this chiropractic's office and I typed in lower back pain treatment near me, I would actually, his keywords and his ads would show up right in front of me. And I would be able to be, as a business owner, get right in front of the person that's looking for my product or service, and they're right around the corner from me. So that doesn't always work, obviously, with virtual. Like, so if you have just a website, you don't have a physical location that you're driving foot traffic to, that's okay. That's another, there's another strategy for that. But if you do have a physical brick and mortar store location, near me is actually a really good thing to pay attention to. A lot of other things. Again, this Keywords Anywhere, we can export a lot of this stuff and pull it right into a spreadsheet. Now, let me tell you about quickly, while we have a few minutes, how to get extensions in your Chrome browser. So in the Chrome browser, you'll see this little, I have a whole bunch of plugins up here right next to the search bar. So this is the address bar, actually. And you'll see a whole bunch of plugins that we use. We use all kinds of plugins for different reasons. In our roadmap, we'll show you some of those as well. But the ones that's called Keywords Anywhere is this one right here. So if I click on it, it shows me a lot of stuff. I can get an API key, I can do referral programs, I can do all kinds of stuff. But these are things that are part of this, this extension for your browser. Now, to get these extensions on your browser, they're pretty simple. You go under these 3 bullet points out here, this ellipsis, and then you go down here to settings, and then, or actually under more tools, I'm sorry, under more tools, and then you have this extensions option that brings you into this. This shows me the extensions I have. Now, whatever extensions you have in your browser, they would show here as well. And then usually what happens is if I want to find additional extensions, I can click on this. So see where it says extensions here in this little hamburger menu. When I do that, it shows me these here, and way down at the bottom, it says open Google Chrome or Chrome Web Store. This is where I can go find all kinds of extensions. Now, I would be careful with some of the extensions because they do have a tendency to start doing pop-ups and doing all kinds of weird things. So make sure you do a research and make sure that the extensions are well rated and they actually perform whatever it is that you're trying to have it perform. So there's some extensions that are absolutely annoying, and especially some of the game extensions, and they can cause a lot of problems. But at this point, I would just recommend coming out here, finding extensions that you want. But if I type in Keywords Everywhere and hit enter, there it is. It's going to show it's already installed on my computer. But Keywords Everywhere, this plugin is great. It's worth getting that. It will be listed on the resource guide that we have at the end of this webinar today, but that is something to consider for having in there. Once you have it on your browser and you just go to any search query, when you type in stuff, it will do that. So for example, if I typed in another keyword, another search, but if I type in sleep apnea treatment, and I know that there are some people on the call right now that this would relate to, I can look at, here's some ads that are running out there. And then I can also look at what are, people asking. There's a whole bunch of what are people asking here. Here's a whole bunch of products showing up. Here's that metric from Keywords Anywhere. Again, if I scroll down, I can start to see trending keywords. I can see related keywords and what people have also searched for, the long tail keywords, all of that right there. And it gives me a really good understanding of maybe what's happening around the sleep apnea world. So again, that plugin is worth, it's worth, honestly, the free version it does a ton of stuff. If you want to get really more into SEO and fine tuning, then you can pay for the added features. But honestly, right now we haven't had to necessarily use much of the paid features at this point. So remember I mentioned that you can export all of that stuff. I can export it or copy it and bring it over. So one of the things we do when we plan for keywords, right? So we actually use an Excel spreadsheet that has a number of tabs to it. So you'll see across the bottom, there's a project plan, there's seed keywords. So sometimes we'll actually start to do specific keywords that we start seeding the process. The seeding process is literally just coming up with things from my perspective as a business owner. I might start to put all this stuff in here. As I do my research, it's going to give me things that customers are actually typing in related to those keywords. The keyword research tab that we use is, so we'll actually look at a whole bunch of these keywords. We usually group them around what the campaign is going to be about, and then we start getting actual keywords, and then we start to see what is called search volume. That's actually a tool within Google Keyword Tracker or Keyword Planner that can give you an idea of whether it's worth investing in certain types of keywords related to your product or service. The competition is kind of important to pay attention to. A lot of times you'll have high volume but low competition, meaning, like TMJ just in general is probably not a great keyword to spend a lot of money on, because it may just be somebody that misspelled another acronym and now they're clicking on your ad and you're spending money uselessly, versus, hey, maybe TMJ headache is actually very crucial to what you do, and you see there's a pretty good search volume, but there's not a lot of competitors going after that keyword, right? So you have some that are low, medium, and high. So we do a lot of this stuff when we work with our customers and our content that we help our customers create. That's another tool we use, right? So we use that. We use, like I said, the search engine, the Google search engine. So here's a question. I've got two of you on the call. So in the chat box, I want you to tell me, other than Google, what are the other two biggest search engines out there? So type that in the chat window and let me know what you think. All right, so James, we got YouTube. Yep. And what's the next largest search engine besides YouTube? Bing is close. Actually, Facebook is a huge search engine, believe it or not. Now, it's a little bit different search engine, but Facebook actually considers itself a little bit of a search engine because of some of the stuff. But yes, in a traditional search engine, Bing really is the next one. And so a lot of people aren't paying attention to Bing at this point, but it's worth expanding your search reach and your SEO side of things inside of Bing and making sure you have a webmaster presence there. We get into a lot of that in the digital roadmap, and we go into a deeper dive in all the things content and search engine related. But to your point, Jim, the number 2 search engine really in the world is actually YouTube. So I actually typed in lower back pain treatment in YouTube, and you'll see immediately tons of video content. And that's a great way to consider reaching your customer, doing something different than just providing written content. The other thing too is sometimes your keywords everywhere plugin will bring up some additional information about that and how it shows up in search volume and those types of things. And again, if you buy credits, it will give you a lot more detail. But one of the most powerful pieces of content to communicate and connect meaningfully with your customer base is video. Hands down, the number one thing that we find from video is that they get a sense for who you are. They connect with your personality. So if you're doing a video and you're introducing a product and you're talking, or if it's somebody in the organization that's talking, when people start to see you and your personality, it changes the game dramatically as far as whether they would be able to purchase something from you. And what happens is they start to, remember we talked about attracting the right client. If they see you communicating what you believe and why you believe what you believe in a video format, you're going to attract customers that resonate with you. Like there may not even be a logical connection, but they see that video and they're like, gosh, I really like that guy. He's really speaking something that makes sense to me. I trust that person. And now you start to build content in a video format that really starts to bring in a different type of client, and it starts to also connect with your clients on a totally different level than your traditional text-based types of content like blogs and ads and all that stuff. So two really kind of key content strategies are your written content and really your visual / video type content. So one of the things we're going to do a quick example, and that kind of goes back into, I'm going to reshare the screen here that has our presentation, and we'll continue to move forward. So we just went through a whole bunch of that. We showed you some of the tools and tips and tricks that we use. And so part of the reason why we have as much fun as we do over here is we actually have curated a bunch of these types of tips and tools over the years. So what you're getting from us today is literally things that we've tried over and over, and different things we've used over the years, and we've kind of settled on some very specific things. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at some of the ways to identify, not identify, but show you an example of some of the things we do. So one of the other tools we use quite a lot is this tool right here. It's called Canva. So when you're creating content for your website, for your social media campaigns, or just posts that you're going to put out there, Canva is an amazing platform. We use it for almost anything. Matter of fact, everything you see that we're doing for our own launch, you can see right here on our screen. We have the 3-day live event. We've got the slideshow that I just put together that we're walking through. All of that's here. I actually just did some training videos for another client not too long ago. My wife's ministry has some flyers that we use. We just did a logo for somebody. So all of this is happening inside of Canva. But what I love about Canva is they give us all these presets. So I can actually say, hey, I'm going to create from a template up here, I can go, I want to do an Instagram post or a Facebook post, or I want to do a YouTube cover or Facebook cover, or maybe I want to do something that's a flyer. All of this comes preset up inside of Canva, and it makes it amazing. So there's two versions of Canva: the free, which means anytime you use an asset that they have within it, you may be charged $1 or $2 to produce that. Or you can do the professional version, which is I think $12.95 a month, and it's great. You can do almost unlimited content without having to be a graphic designer, because you can start with all kinds of things that they have already put in place. So it makes it really easy. The reason why I show you this is when we get into actually producing content for our customers, and one of them here is I'll show you what we've done. This will be, we mentioned Dr. Bolden yesterday. His brand is called Precedent Center for Facial and Dental Medicine. So one of the things we do is we've taken some of the graphics that are on the website and the logos and the brands, and we've pulled all that together. But as you look at any of the content that gets posted on his Facebook page, you actually are going to see that all of this content is very consistent. It's on brand, and it targets very specific questions and answers related to specific topics that he wants to be covered over a period of time. So right now we're focused on dental implants over the last month and a half. And so we talked about same-day dental implants. This post talks everything to do with it, pros and cons. It talks about, if I hit the next tab, bridges and dental implants. It gives me some really good graphics, gives me some ideas of things I can do, food to eat after my surgery, things that I can focus on, foods to avoid after my dental surgery. And then other things like, what are the benefits of robot assisted? So there's other posts that we start to put together, and it looks consistent across all platforms. Matter of fact, if we go to Instagram and we go to same Precedent brand, you're going to see that same post, but now under Instagram, and it's now for the Instagram audience. So same thing. We can post more information. A lot of times it will be there'll be multi slides going on with that, and then it lets people see the information that's there. Same thing with as you scroll down, you'll see a lot of his posts have that same brand awareness. Whenever you see a post from his brand, you'll always see that same blues and oranges, and you'll always see his Precedent icon anywhere on on that brand. So it's important when you do content and you release it out in the world that it has that consistent look and feel of your brand so that people recognize you across any platform and see the content that you're providing for them. All right, so that kind of gives us an overview of what content and how to create and curate, in some case, content that's going to be meaningful. By planning, by understanding what our customer's looking for, by doing research, we can now start to put content together. When we start looking at the roadmap, the digital roadmap that we work with a lot of our clients on, it dives deeper into 4 types of content and the strategies behind them. We actually even have other tools and resources that we share in that format of literally a content planner that helps you say, you know what, for the next 12 months, I'm going to have all of my blog titles already written. They're going to focus systematically and strategically on areas of my business that I need to raise awareness on, and I want to grow over time. So in this case, we focused, like I said, recently on dental implants, and we have a whole bunch of posts that relate to that, so that as people engage with Precedent, for example, they're seeing everything about dental health and dental implants at the moment. But over time, that helps grow his expertise and grows his awareness in the different markets that he serves. With that said, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to kind of open it up to some other things. And let me reshare this back with us, and we'll go from there. So what we are offering you today, which will be available as soon as this is over today, is this book right here. And I'm going to share this with you. So one of the things that as we talked about a lot of the things today, I know it's kind of like, it's a high overview just to get an understanding of things. This document here is what you'll be able to kind of download and have access to, but this gives you a really good starting point on how to get content started for your customers. So when we look at the next page, we actually have some strategy tips for planning things out, keep content original and on brand, kind of like we showed you with some of the posts, and then keep your audience in mind. And we talked a little bit about that in this download. But then we give you kind of a little worksheet here that gives you an idea of how do you kind of plan on a monthly basis, like what date and time range, what are some main keywords you're going to focus on, what is the tone of the content. That's actually important. What's the intended audience, the goal of the content overall, what are some of the points you want to include. And then, some of the tools that we talked about today, there's a whole bunch of other tools that we use. And some of these we cover in a lot more depth in our roadmap program, but these are some really good tools to kind of keep an eye on. This is a great one here, this content brainstorming. Quora is a great place. Reddit has some really good articles. And then also things like Facebook, industry specific Facebook groups. Keep an eye on all those, but those are some things that hopefully from attending today and being able to take this with you, you'll be able to plan for some content that is meaningful and connects with your clients. It's good stuff. It's good stuff, man. I'm glad you were able to join us today. And unless there's any other questions or whatever, but I think we've kind of covered the bases for today. And then tomorrow, the good news about tomorrow is it's really now pulling back the tools of your WordPress site. It really doesn't have to be WordPress, but your website and your social media platforms, and making sure all those are working and talking the right way, and making sure that functions the way it should, so that your business converts those customers that now are finding you across all of those platforms. So we're excited about that tomorrow, and look forward to another 45 minutes of trying to drink from a fire hose.